Okay, so this is what you're going to see on D2L when you log on. And there's my picture. And, if you do want to come to class, there's our Zoom. And I did put a link to the book. We do have it. You can rent it. You can go through, there's like a special thing you can do through Penn West, and you get all your, you can go through it. I don't know what it's called, but you can get all your books for a certain price each semester. And I signed up for that. And you can, but the reason I gave you this link is that if you go to Amazon, you can go to the used books, and you can get any edition you want. You don't have to get the most recent edition. You can buy a used one for $10. But if you do get the used one for $10 or whatever, get the fast shipping. Splurge on shipping. You're saving money on the book, so splurge on shipping. All right. So let's look under content for week one. And so you can see there's a lot here. And uh, but that's okay. We'll go over everything here. Um, but let's kind of look at what is under week one first. Um, so here we have the syllabus, which we're going to go over. We have all the notes that for the semester. There are also the notes that I use to study for the NCE and the comps for research and stats. Um, and yeah, so you should be able to pass if you study this class and study those notes. And there's also a book that I used called The Encyclopedia of Counseling by Rosenthal. It's a purple book, and it's made just for the NCE. And it's a good book to study if you need to take that exam. Um, and then, and we're going to go over this too. I have the outline for every section of your major project, which is the final paper. And then I also gave you student samples because I think one good way to learn is by looking at examples. So I know you're not going to copy anything in this example. You're going to come up with your own ideas, but it'll give you an idea of what I'm looking for each section, for each topic and subtopic of the paper. And so let me just give you an example. So, you can look, it's all in APA style. That helped me. Oh, maybe this is just the article critique. Yeah, so this is her article critique, but that's a good example of an article critique. And let's look at the paper as well. There's a PowerPoint here. There's a final paper. So this is the final paper. It's all in APA. So even just looking at the title page, you're like, hey, if you put your title page beside this one, do they look like the same format? Do you have the little running head and the number? Technically, that doesn't have to be capitalized if you're actually in a heading. Um, does the abstract not indent? Do you have the keywords? People are wondering about, oh, what should my graphic model look like? And look at all the pages here. I know it's crazy. And so she's got a nice little graphic. It's nothing complicated. Shows growth in the treatment, and it's kind of creative. And then she has a little explanation of what happens each week. Um, yeah, so these things are helpful just to give you an example. And we'll go over every single section, each topic. We'll walk through it step by step with you. And I can talk with you personally and help you with it as well. And you'll have to have a PowerPoint at the end. And okay, so there's 3 student samples. There's the article critique, the final paper, which also includes a lit review, and a PowerPoint. And they cover um, most of the requirements for the class. I think the only sample I don't have is for a needs assessment, but if you just follow the instructions in the syllabus for that, it's pretty clear. And I also have a lecture on it. Okay, and then I kind of wanted to show you what actual research looks like. So don't worry about the topic. That's just one of the topics I write about. But it's more like like one of these, let's see, ethics and pastoral counseling. Okay, so that's an article, and that's what I would get back from a publisher. And then this is the same article once it's been published. And then this is a chapter in a book, and that's what I would get back from a publisher. And then this is what it looks like. Well, maybe that's an article, what it looks like in the book. One of them's an article, one of them's a chapter. Um, let's see. I threw in my dissertation just because it has perfect APA style. Uh, it has examples of all the different, so like in the book, there's a chapter on descriptive statistics. How do you represent the statistics that you find? Well, there's pie charts and graphs and scatter plots. There's examples of everything in that chapter in the dissertation. Um, let's see what else. Oh, and then I have recorded lectures, and I do it by chapter. And I think there's 4 editions of the book right now. And you can get any edition you want. The chapters might have different numbers on them. So I usually write, so like here's a lecture, chapter 2, internet research. So I usually try to write the chapter down as well. Let's see what else. There's an introduction. There's chapter 2. Okay. And the other thing is, so there is he's a librarian, Ryan Sittler, Dr. Sittler. And so he's at our library, but he's embedded himself in our class, and you can watch. He does research through the library, and he has a lecture on that. And it's the same thing you would see online. The way I do research is a little different. I use Google Scholar and Amazon and Research Rabbit. But you can combine the 2 methods, but he's really good at using our library resources. And let's say you find something using Google Scholar and you can't download it unless you pay for it. Well, you can take what you found, like the author and the title, plug it into our library, and you'll get it free through our library. So that's the workaround, so you don't have to pay anything. And then he can help you with research through our library. And so let's say you're trying to find 12 research articles. It's going to take you looking through about 120 research articles to find 12 that you like, maybe more. But let's say you're having trouble finding, articles that match your topic. He can help you find them in the library. So anything to do with our library, and finding articles, and like he's an expert on that. And so you can ask him questions, he'll answer them back, he'll find a time to meet with you. He'll actually do the research with you in the library online. Like you don't have to come to the library. So here's a video that he created. Here's where you can ask him questions or even set up a time to meet with him. And the last thing on here is a Dropbox for your research topic. And we'll talk about that later tonight. Okay, so let's see. That's kind of D2L. It's a 7-week class, and I'll just open these up each week. I think it's too confusing if I open up more than each week. I just want you to be able to focus on the assignment for each week. That's it. We'll walk it through step by step. I don't want it to be too overwhelming for you. Okay, the one thing I do need to say, unfortunately, we've had some issues with this. If you click on a lecture, like a recorded lecture, it'll say you watched it, but so it'll say you have 100% of everything watched. But what professors see on D2L is different than what students see. So I see how long you've watched that lecture. So, like, I've had students say, well, I've got 100%. I've watched all your lectures. And I say, but you watched them all in 10 minutes. So, make sure you actually watch every lecture in its entirety. And the reason for that is not only do you need my wonderful breadth of knowledge, but, you know, I'm not allowed to give you an A unless you have over 70% of everything done on D2L. So I'd get in trouble if, if I didn't require it. So let's see. Yeah, I think that's it for that intro, but let's look at the syllabus now. The syllabus can be a little overwhelming too. And I did not, even though I did, before Penn West, me and my colleague designed this class. And then when we integrated as Penn West, me and 2 other colleagues combined our classes. And I think it's very comprehensive. And it fulfills all the K-CREP requirements. But there's a couple assignments in here that I didn't design. I designed, with my colleagues, the main project, which is the article critique, the final paper, and the PowerPoint. But I did not design the needs assessment assignment. And that was a 2016 requirement for K-CREP. We just have to do it. Anyway. Okay, so lecture, let's see. So we'll have class Thursdays, 5 p.m. till whenever. We'll do, I'll definitely talk about what you're doing each week. There'll also be the recorded lectures, and then we'll work together as a class. And if you're asynchronous, I'll find time to help you at whatever time's convenient for you. Not every week, but whenever you need it. Wednesday, 3 to 5 is office hours, so I'm always online on Zoom or in my office. My office is here on California campus, Building B, which is above the police station, and I'm in office 312. So, Debbie, you've never been over there? Yeah. Oh, but you had that with Dr. Walsh. Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right. So I was doing like practicum last semester, and this semester I'm doing field. All right. All right, I have drinks and snacks in my office if anybody wants to visit. All right. These are kind of the K-CREP objectives, and then we put it in a rubric for outcomes. And oh, inclusive access. That's the book, the digital book via inclusive access program. Tavera, hopefully everybody's getting Tavera. You're going to use it throughout the program. Tavera, I have to admit, you know, it's a little finicky. It's hard to find certain things on Tavera, but we reviewed every program that was available, and Tavera was the most compatible with K-CREP accreditation, and that's why we chose it. One good thing you might not know about Tavera is it's good after you graduate as well. And it allows you to keep track of all of your LPC hours on there until you get your LPC. So it has a nice tracking mechanism. So like after you graduate, you're going to have to spend 2 years under supervision in the field, and it'll keep track of those hours for you. All right. And if anybody ever questioned it, if you said, hey, kept track of my hours under Tavera, my supervisor signed off on them, no board would question that. All right. So we have a departmental grading procedure. Everybody uses the same grading table. They're the same for every class, every professor. But like I said, I teach with using mastery learning. You can rewrite things, turn things in as many times as you want. The only thing is, they don't want us giving incompletes. So you do have to have everything done by the last class. And I do have to give you a grade. So whatever you want to rewrite, you can do it up until the last class. Everything has to be on time. I can't give you an extension after the course is over, unless there's an emergency or something like that. Other than that, yeah, hopefully grades won't be a problem. There will be everybody, has to do APA. You can buy the APA manual, but there's 3 links here that help you with APA style. I think the Purdue link is the best. And you could even type in the information for an article or cut and paste the information for an article. It'll turn it into an APA citation for you. So APA, these are electronic, and so they're not perfect. So you actually have to kind of check over them and make sure they're right. Let's see. Okay, these are the course assignments throughout the semester. There is a plagiarism model. We'll talk about that. It's just kind of a online course in how not to plagiarize. And there's a little quiz at the end, and you have to take the quiz, and if you don't pass it, you retake it until you do. And you download the certificate and you upload it to D2L to show that you've completed that. I don't I don't know if I'll have discussion boards or not. I probably won't. Um, let's see. You'll have a journal article critique, a lit review. The good thing about this is that the lit review is not at the end of the 7 weeks. That's your largest assignment, the lit review. That's what's going to take you the most time. And so it's due about 2/3 of the way through. So that's like the big hurdle that you have to move past. And once you get past the lit review, it's kind of all downhill after that. And so you're not rushing for that last class to get everything done. Uh, yeah, research design proposal, poster. The poster, since not everybody's face to face, we turn that into a PowerPoint that you can upload. Needs assessment, and the final written. We call it an article because technically you can present with it. Some students have turned these into articles and published them or chapters or whatever. And then here's our weekly assignments. And it looks like a lot because it's basically twice as much as you'd normally do because we're only 7 weeks instead of 15. Um, so, you know, week one, that's today. And so it's got syllabus, chapter one, um, all those additional readings I posted on D2L that I showed you, chapters 2 and 17, ethics and research, cultural issues. Um, yeah. Um, and then next week, um, the we're going to go over things like the plagiarism module, topic for research references, article review, lit review, all of that stuff. And let's see. And so anytime before Thursday of week 3, 5/29, you're going to turn in your plagiarism model. You're going to have a topic for your references. We can talk about that and refine it. Where you're going to do an article review and yeah, and a reference page of 12 references. And we'll go over all that next week. We'll talk about your topic a little tonight and how to come up with that. But you can see there's almost something due. There's nothing due week 4 because it's going to take you a long time to write the lit review. So you'll be working on the lit review week 4 and week 5, and then that Thursday, hopefully you'll have the lit review rough draft done. And then there's only 2 weeks left of the semester. So it's a lot, it's a lot to get done. Uh, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But you can do it and we can work on it together. All right. I mean, I think not only explaining it and giving you lectures on this, I think the best thing I can offer everybody is that I can work on it with you. So let's see. I'm really good at getting back to everybody in email during the week. I usually get back the same day. Weekends, it might take me a day or two, but I'm usually pretty good about email. Do not leave a message on my work phone because I'm only here 2 days a week in the summer. That's my office phone. Yeah. So email's the best way to contact me for sure. Title IX reporting. I'm a mandated reporter and everything that goes with that. These are different emails and connections for reporting any type of sexual violence or ethical violations. Let's see. If you have a disability, go through the Office for Students with Disability. They need to document what class you're in and talk about the best accommodations, and I'll be happy to accommodate you. Academic integrity. So that's really important for this class, because uh, with AI, a lot of people might try to use AI for a research paper. Um, but honestly, because you're creating something new, uh, it would be very difficult to do that. So it's a lot easier and writing it yourself. So don't use AI, don't use the general internet. Use the library, Google Scholar, things like that, books. Um, you know, let's see what else. Bum bum. Class attendance. Uh, yeah, hey, I'm glad you two online are on Zoom, and I'm glad you two face to face. Uh, and That'll definitely promote some discussion. And I'll be able to answer all your questions directly and everybody asynchronously. Hey, I know you're doing that because of work and families and everything else, time zones. So, but we can find a time to meet when you need help. Let's see what else. There are, like I said, I don't think I'll use discussion boards for this class unless it's just to kind of introduce yourselves. Uh, you can start work on the plagiarism module. Plagiarism, plagiarism module is something that every student has to do individually. Even if you're with a partner for your paper, every student has to do the plagiarism module individually. And here's the link for it. So do it this week or next week. So, um, and then, so you're going to click on the link, you're going to take the course, you're going to answer the questions, you're going to get a certificate that says you passed. Download the certificate and upload it to the Dropbox for the plagiarism module on D2L. Right, there aren't any points for that, you just have to do it. And that's just because we have had some problems with plagiarism in some classes. Okay. And then every assignment has its own um kind of outline in the syllabus, but we'll talk about every single assignment in detail and we'll work on them together. Okay? So if you were just looking at the syllabus, that's one reason I don't like to send out the syllabus early. It can be overwhelming looking at all of these things. I've had people drop this class just because they looked at the syllabus. Before I had time to talk about it and say we're going to do everything step by step together and you know, so it can be a little overwhelming. We're going to take it step by step, week by week. It will be a lot of work because it's half the time, but it's like pulling off a band-aid. You'll get it over in 7 weeks and you'll be good to go. So a lot of work, short amount of time, everybody will be successful and you'll be done with research. Um, I did want to say a couple other things before we talk more. Um, all right. Uh, if um, if you had plans to go on to a doctorate, it's important that you let me know because I work with a lot of students that want to go on to a doctorate, and I went to a very similar university. I went to a Shippensburg University. It's just like, you know, Edinburgh, Cal, or Clarion, Penn West. They're all Pennsylvania state system universities. And I was talking with different professors there, and they like Shippensburg as well as California when it was its own university. They were at different times, they were both ranked number one in the state for counseling programs. And California was ranked top 10 in K-CREP in the nation. Um, so they're really respectable programs. And now Penn West is accredited, and I'm sure it'll do just as well. Uh, so even though they're small state schools, they're really recognized in counseling with counseling professors. Um, with that being said, if you want to go on to a doctorate, um, we should talk about what kind of doctorate you want to move on to. Where do you see yourself? Um, how would you set yourselves apart from other people applying for that doctorate? So, for instance, a lot of people who apply for doctorates from other schools write a thesis. Um, we don't write theses really, but I work with students and other professors do too, but I work with students to maybe enhance this project and eventually present at Pennsylvania Counseling Association conference, Pennsylvania School Counseling Association conference. We presented nationally, internationally. Um, we presented topics in Paris. We got accepted to Prague, and then all the flights were canceled because the computers crashed. So that wasn't that great. Um, and we've had articles published and books published. And so presentations and publications really set apart students in the selection process for doctoral programs. We also have professors that, of course, we've been to a lot of the different universities for our doctorates, and many of us still maintain connections with those programs as well. So I think, if you are interested in going on for a doctorate, let me know, and we can talk about that process, you know? Uh, so, all right. Yeah, I think that's kind of the end of that section. Let me stop recording.